You are Penywise, or rather a physical manifestation of something far worse, the eater of worlds. It starts off wrong. You weren't born from a mother's embrace, nor did you even emerge from a natural pregnancy. Your origins are cosmic, cold, and distant. You exist only to feed fear, with no right to choose another destiny. You have no childhood, no adolescence, no emo phase. You emerge straight away as an entity designed to scare and devour. It's as if you were hired for a horrible job before you were even born, and worse, you can't quit. Let's start with the body farce. You don't have a real body. In reality, you are a distorted form of energy and flesh, a fragment of what the universe might call the primordial entity of fear. This clown disguise isn't skin, bones, or muscles. It's a psychic illusion, a fabric molded to disguise your true essence. What children see, your clothes, your wrinkles, your teeth, is just a projection, as if you were a hologram capable of tearing flesh. The worst part? You don't even own your own body. It's shaped by what people fear. In other words, you have no biological identity of your own. You are a distorted mirror of other people's phobias. And let's talk about teeth. They're not ordinary teeth, but an absurd infinity of rows, which open and multiply like a fractal nightmare. They have no gums, no roots, and follow no anatomical logic. They appear as needed, almost as if sprouting from another dimension. Imagine this process biologically. Where does the calcium come from? What digestive system supports this mutant jaw? The answer is simple. None of this is real. Your body functions as an avatar of fear, because in reality you are nothing more than hunger condensed into clown form. Your diet, in fact, is the greatest biochemical nightmare imaginable. You don't metabolize carbohydrates, proteins, fats, or vitamins. You have no stomach or intestines. Your food is fear. What you ingest is a neurochemical discharge from the victim, adrenaline, cortisol, the crazed synapses of a panicked child. It's as if you were a parasite of the human nervous system, connected to the lowest frequencies of terror. Biologically speaking, you reconfigure people's bodies without actually touching them, because what you devour first is the emotion, only then the flesh. It's terror transformed into vital energy, but living like this has a dire consequence. You depend on humans like a parasite depends on its host. Without fear, you weaken. Without fear, you will wither away until you become a helpless caricature, a puny, pathetic clown, unable even to keep makeup on. Think about how horrible this is. You, a nearly divine interdimensional being, have no autonomy to survive. Your biology is a prison, and the key lies within the hearts of your enemies. It's as if a tiger had to beg a gazelle to act frightened before attacking it. Ridiculous, humiliating, tragic. Your morphology is also the terror of any scientist. You don't follow animal, plant, or fungal anatomy. You are a hybrid of every possible living form shaped by what most repulses you. Need to be a giant spider? You become one. Need to be blood dripping from a sink? You can be that too. Need to be someone's particular fear? A zombie, a bat, a shadow, a macabre painting? You just have to want it. You are a walking metamorphosis, but not for beauty, but rather for servitude to that which terrifies you. Your existence is unstable. You are never whole, never Penywise, always merely a reflection of something that lacks biological consistency. Another macabre detail. The clown form isn't your choice, but rather imposed by the collective unconscious. This is how you appear most effectively to prey on children, but have you ever stopped to think about what it means to live in a constant mask? You can't be yourself because there's no you. The character will always be truer than your essence. Philosophically, it's an identity prison. You were born condemned to not be, and your cells, if we can even call them that, they don't obey cell division, either mitosis or meiosis. They fragment like superimposed photons, appearing and disappearing as needed for your chosen form. You are unstable at the quantum level. That's why, when faced with genuine courage, your form collapses. The structural lie of your body cannot withstand something as human and solid as courage. And to think that all this might sound incredible, a supreme power of adaptation. But it isn't. It's an existential disease. You have no control over your metabolism because it's not yours. It's someone else's. You have no bodily permanence because your flesh isn't real. It's an illusion. You have no dietary choice because you're stuck on a diet of suffering. It's the biology of horror. Deep down, your biology isn't life. It's prison. You are the predator who never chose to be a predator, the creature that exists only because human fear gives it form. And when humans decide to overcome that fear, you are nothing. Imagine that each terrified child before you is like a battery discharging pure energy. When you leap from a manhole or transform an ordinary shadow into a grotesque creature, the screams that emerge are not just music to your ears. They are your physical nourishment, your life force, your nuclear fuel. The question is, where does this energy come from? Scientifically, human fear is simply a biological reaction. The body releases adrenaline, the heart races, pupils dilate, the organism becomes alert. It's chemistry. But you, Penywise, take these invisible hormones and convert them into tangible force, into energy capable of reorganizing the fibers of your illusory flesh. It's as if there were a nuclear reactor inside every child, and you were a parasite sucking that reaction. Think about it. If Mario Brothers uses coins as a power source, you'll have tears and nightmares. It's the most perverse physics possible. A balance in which your survival only happens when someone else suffers. But here comes the fatal detail. Unlike gasoline in a car, fear isn't constant. It's limited by the other person's psychology. Once the victim gets used to, confronts, or overcomes your trick, you lose all your energy source. This means you're nothing more than a dim bulb dependent on children's emotional electricity bills. A simple, "I'm not afraid of you anymore," becomes the equivalent of cutting off the power to your existence, the formulas of your weakness. We can even use mathematics to explain your misfortune. If each attack of yours generates a fear level F, and with each repetition that fear becomes lessened by familiarity, then the equation looks something like this. Fear E. Initial impact and repeated exposure, you're either terrorize or die. If a child sees you 10 times, their fear drops by half. If they face you boldly, it drops to 0. And when fear equals 0, Penywise simply disappears. It's like a cruel equation that's always about to erase you from the universe's slate. Have you ever imagined living your entire life dependent on other people's psychological variables? What would it be like if, in order to feed yourself, someone always had to cry or despair near you? This is the physical and mathematical prison of your existence. The psychology of fear, Pennywise's mind prison. If the physics are already terrible, the psychology is even worse. You have no thoughts of your own. Your mind revolves in a narrow, predictable orbit. Fear of others is the center of your gravity. You literally exist to model yourself as a reflection of the victim's greatest traumas. A child afraid of a clown? You put on makeup and laugh grotesquely. Another afraid of spiders? You twist and turn into a giant insect. If someone fears blood, you spew red rivers from the school's pipes. Every human fear is a leash that binds your wrists. You, Penywise, are a slave to other people's nightmares, and you will never be free. And here's the cruelest part. You don't choose. You compulsively adapt, almost like a virus that can only reproduce in one host. There is no you in the process, only others. Your identity? A fiction that dissolves in the face of collective courage when physics and psychology break down. The practical result of this is devastating. Faced with a group of children who decide to face their fears, you lose mass, shape, and weight. What seemed indestructible reveals itself to be hollow. Your illusory biology collapses like a house of cards. If your victim's psychic energy drops, their physical energy falls with it. And psychologically, the humiliation is even more brutal. You're not defeated by guns, tanks, or fighter jets. You're defeated by something microscopic, something ridiculously human. Courage. A simple, "I'm not afraid of you anymore," is enough to shrink your claws, your fangs, and even your laughter. It's as if you were a lion who, upon hearing a gazelle cry, "I'm not afraid," transforms into a lap cat. This is the cruel irony of your psychology. All cosmic terror evaporates at the first sign of emotional fortitude. Your cosmic tragedy, ultimately, your existence is living or dead, proof that fear is a two-way prison. You imprison children, yes, but you are even more imprisoned by them. You will never be able to escape the role of emotional parasite. you will never have the freedom to choose another path. You will never be able to experience a different life. You're like a light bulb that only lights up with energy stolen from others. And when the energy goes out, you're not left in the dark. You cease to exist. In the end, Penywise, your tragedy isn't being a terrifying monster. Your tragedy is being an incomplete equation, a fragile reflection of human emotions, doomed to disappear every time someone, no matter how small, learns courage. The most you can receive from humans is terror. And even that fear you devour has an expiration date. The loneliness of the cosmic clown. Think about it. You would emerge perfect in any social group if you had the choice. You can shape-shift, you can adapt to any environment, you can speak any language you want, assume any identity you want, but all this potential is useless because the instinct that governs your existence is not to share, but to terrorize. And those who live only by terror will never be loved, never be accepted. In practice, you're like that insufferable coworker who only talks about tragedy and problems. Over time, everyone distances themselves. Except in your case, the distancing isn't voluntary, it's for survival. In other words, every social outing ends in screaming, crying, and running away. The tragedy is that, as a predator, you need to interact, but the only form of contact is always violent. You can never be invited to a birthday party because it would ruin the party. You'll never have a true loving relationship because emotional closeness doesn't generate energy in you. Only fear does. Your social hunger is a prison, the humiliation of the defeated. And when the Losers Club appears in your story, you feel the greatest humiliation of your existence. There's a group of children who, individually, are fragile, shy, and insecure. But together? Together they discover what you fear most, courage consolidated collectively. You, Penywise, are like a raging bull that despairs in the face of people holding torches. The sound of their laughter is your poison. The collective embrace, the true friendship, the trust you share in one another. These corrode you more than any nuclear weapon. You melt in the face of human unity because your essence is the opposite of that. It is isolation. It is fragmentation. It is a fragment of fear. And most tragically, their greatest weakness is one of the most banal and common human behaviors. They support each other. They overcome trauma together. You don't. You share nothing, because sharing would be your damnation. The pathetic image. In the end, your own social image collapses. The clown, which should be a symbol of playfulness and laughter, is a failed disguise for you. You initially portray terror. But when the masks of terror come off, only a caricature remains, a pathetic, withered clown begging for attention. It's in this contrast that your true social disgrace lies. You wanted to be remembered as an imposing figure, a cosmic threat, but you end up being a tragic joke in the memories of those who survive. It's as if humanity is saying, "Oh yes, he tried to terrorize us," but in the end, he only shrank before us. The inevitable end, socially isolated, biologically dependent, and psychologically unstable, your fate is already written from the moment you appear. There is no future path in which you can overcome, because your defeat is programmed into the very essence of your nature. You are not defeated by weapons, nor by armies, nor by the brute force of human hands. You are defeated by a handful of children who decide to face what they fear most. Nothing could be more humiliating for a multiversal entity than this, losing not to fire, nor to science, but to ordinary children who hold your hands and laugh at you. Ultimately, Penywise, your social tragedy is clear. You were born to terrorize, but you can't stop fate from condemning you to irrelevance. Your inevitable end is to fade away like a bad joke that no longer scares, leaving only echoes of cold laughter and memories of a decaying clown.